I'm up here. I'm tripping. I'm tripping. Boy. Yeah. Y'all could tell I was being messy. Let me get this together. Let me get it together. I keep forgetting it all changed with the profile. Nobody caught it. Okay. Um, welcome, man. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you are having a very good day. We're almost to the end of the week. It's your man, God of Dots. We are back here. Talk about the latest and greatest from the world of sports. How you doing, Dr. Nikki? Ms. Murphy, what's going on? Listen. Ooh, boy. Yeah. Oh man. All right. So where do I want to go? That kind of just threw my whole rhythm out. Let me get a quick sip of water. Let me get my rhythm. For the one in the chat. All right. You saw the thumbnail. Just announced today, JJ Reddick, former Duke college star, former NBA player, NBA analyst, has a very popular. You saw it. Yeah, nobody else could see it. Yes, JJ Reddick has been named head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, with signing a 4-year deal to become the new head coach of the Lakers. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. He was one of the possible candidates to be hired for this position, and I'm going to say this as the only probably Lakers fan that kind of listens to the show on a consistent basis. I am sorely disappointed in the Lakers organization. This is the best possible candidate for the position. I am sorely disappointed, and this is not to shame JJ Reddick for he has a very high basketball IQ. He does spend time analyzing the game, but it's a different thing to sit on the sidelines analyzing the game and using your knowledge that you have from the game to thinking you can become a head coach of let's call it what it is, the premier NBA franchise. It's either LA or Boston. It's just no other argument there. But with the premier NBA franchise in the NBA, nobody else was available. You mean to tell me Sam Cassell wasn't a good enough? Hell, I'd have took. Listen, if I'm going to pick a guy that's a TV analyst that's currently doing it now, I would have looked at Mark Jackson and possibly brought him in. Hell, we'll talk about Monty Williams in just a second, because I want to feel sorry for him, but we'll talk about him in just a second. But JJ Reddick, like I said, nothing against the basketball IQ, but when you're talking about taking over the premier franchise in the NBA, franchise that just offered two-time national championship coach Dan Hurley a 6-year deal, $70 million, and it's I wouldn't even call JJ Reddick settling. He's not like a hot assistant that you'll find gets picked off a championship roster or no, I mean like none. You haven't even been in the front office, man, and now you're about to be the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. And I look at this move on several different levels. One is let's talk about the money. Ms. Murphy, he's never coached. Like I said, when you watch, when you listen to the podcast and you watch games that he's calling, has a very astute mind for the game. I'm not going to take that away from him, but it's another thing to be on the sidelines, in the stands, in the press box, breaking down, the game, and another thing to be a head coach of a franchise. Case in point for my Cowboys fans, I love Tony Romo as an analyst. I liked him as a quarterback when he was with my team, but just because you can break down plays from the press box and be right some of the times because you've played the game, you can lean on that experience. That does not mean that you are should be head coaching a franchise. And I look at the hiring of JJ Reddick, and I don't want to bring up the Rooney Rule because the NBA does a very good job of being diverse or with the candidates that they have in coaching positions. It is a lot of black coaches in the NBA, a lot of black coaches in front office positions. So I'm not going to go that route. Yeah, speak JJ Reddick. But the fact that you guys hired him when there was other possible candidates, and here's the thing. They've already started talking about Sam Cassell being part of the roster. Why not make Sam Cassell the head coach? Sam Cassell, also a former player, also a former championship player at that, knows the game, can break down the game just as well as a JJ Reddick. But here's the thing: Sam Cassell has been on the sidelines as an assistant coach for the last few years, learning the craft of actually running the team. It's another, like I said, it's one thing to be good with X's and O's, well, but running a franchise, and when we're talking about franchise, we're talking about, and I know Speak is in the house. When we're talking about the NBA, it's the premier franchises are either LA or Boston. Knicks coming in third, not that distant, but they're coming in third. But when we're talking about the NBA, it's either you're Lakers or Celtics, and this is worldwide and this is universally known. I'm not feeling the JJ Reddick hire. I'm not feeling the JJ Reddick hire, but I looked at this as I think this is more of a recruit. I think them hiring JJ Reddick is a recruiting tool to bring, exactly speaking. I was about to go there to make sure LeBron comes back into the fold. Make sure LeBron comes back into the fold. Recently, Rich Paul, his agent, has said is kind of backed off of those statements that LeBron wanted to play with Bronny. For those of you who are on Twitter, Bronny posted a picture of Luka, Kyrie, and Dallas, and him in the Mavs jersey, and LeBron in the Mavs jersey. It caused a lot of buzz, a lot of it's a lot of cloak and dagger stuff. But I think the Lakers hiring JJ Reddick was a move to try to keep LeBron in house, especially after the statement by Rich Paul is saying LeBron is not trying to force the situation with Bronny. I think the rest of the NBA, when we're talking about the draft, which is next week, and you have the storylines of who's going to be the one to take a shot on Bronny. Right now he's not projected to go in the first round. He's really not projected to go early in the second round. I think a lot of people who you talk to who kind of been following the story look at the Lakers as being the only team that's going to take a shot on drafting him, and they're not looking to draft him until somewhere in their pick in the second round. And I think the rest of the NBA is kind of like, we'll pass on the hoopla and drama that comes along with that, especially with Rich Paul coming out and saying that LeBron is not trying to force that. He's not it's not going to be a caveat to where he ends up playing basketball. But JJ Reddick getting hired as LA's coach, and when I think about candidates that just became available, and I'm looking at Monty Williams, who was just fired by the Detroit Pistons after 1 year. They still owe the dude $65 million. So now think about this. Monty Williams, in the span of 2 seasons, was a coach of the year in the NBA. Gets ran off in Phoenix. They owe him $10 million from that deal. Signs the big deal to come coach the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons have a horrible season, but this is Detroit. When have they not had a horrible season in the past decade? They move off of him, and are willing to eat $65 million to do it. And I will say this about the Detroit franchise: you firing Monty Williams after 1 season with the collection of talent that you have, and some of the injury problems you did have in Detroit, to fire him after 1 year, knowing you owe him $65 million, is probably the craziest coaching firing I've seen in recent years across all sports. How do you pay a guy, sign him to that big of a deal, and after 1 season, when your team has been trash? Detroit, the Pistons have been trash, I want to say, since what, we're talking about the last 15 years. They have been trashed the last 15 years. And you fire him after one season, knowing you owe the dude $65 million. I don't know if it was some language in his contract to where they fire him, he can't compete for a certain amount of time, like a no compete clause. Because if Monty Williams is available, I'm taking Monty Williams over JJ Reddick 10 times out of 10. Give me a guy that has been successful on the sidelines. First of all, that has been on the sidelines, but give me a guy who has been successful, who is also a former player, knows how to work the egos of star players, because he did it, and was successful at it. But $65 million, Detroit, what are you doing? What are you doing? And if I'm a potential, if I'm a first time coach, I'm jumping at the chance to get the Pistons job. If I'm a guy that's kind of waiting for a better situation, Detroit ain't it, man. Detroit, $65 million. They really, I mean, must have really wanted you gone, and put the blame of, because it wasn't like Monty Williams drafted those players. It wasn't like Monty Williams signed those free agent deals. I mean, Monty got railroaded, man. Monty got railroaded, but I can't feel sorry for you, brother, because you getting paid $65 million for nothing. $65 million on top of the 10, that the Suns owed you. I mean, that is crazy. Crazy that you I wouldn't even coach again. If I'm Monty Williams, I'm looking for like a broadcasting job. I wouldn't even want to coach again. For what? I'm paid. Granted, I was already, multi-millionaire, for being a player. But I just made $75 million in the span of a year through no fault of my own. Man, life is great if you're Monty Williams. Life is great if you're Monty Williams. Speaking of life, you got a little baseball news for those who kind of keep up with it. I ain't one of those people. But the great Willie Mays passed this week. I want to say he passed yesterday. I know it was reported last week that they offered. They were trying to get him to come out to the Negro Leagues game. I want to say that's tonight. They was trying to get him to come out there and make an appearance. He told me he couldn't make it. I don't think too many people was aware of the health issues that he was having. But yes, great. Willie Mays has passed. I know Alabama has done tribute, because started doing tributes. And, teams across the league are finding ways to pay tribute to Willie Mays, one of the greatest all-around baseball players, period. When you talk about MLB or Negro Leagues, one of the greatest players, period. When they talk about guys who are 5'2" players, Willie Mays is one of those guys they talk about as being a 5'2" player. For those who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, trust me, I'm not going to spend enough time trying to convince you of what that is. But when I say Willie Mays is top 10 dead or alive, I actually mean it. I know the history of baseball enough to feel comfortable enough saying that top 10 dead or alive. He's one of the best to ever do it. One of the best to ever do it. Like I said, yeah, Dr. Nick, I'm not finna, because if you ain't a baseball fan, and me trying to explain to you what 5'2" is, and the impact of Willie Mays, not only in the batter's box, on the bases, the defensive prowess, the Golden Gloves. Like if you ain't a fan of the sport, I ain't got time to be breaking that stuff down to you. I really don't have the time to be breaking that stuff down to you. Before, it's not going to be a long show. It's not going to be a long show. It is something I wanted to kind of touch on before I get up out of here. We talked about free agency coming up. Some of the deals have already, some of the moves have already started being made. Pascal Siakam reportedly has re-signed with the Indiana Pacers. Was a lot of people expected that. I think Siakam in Indiana for a full season makes them one of the teams to look out for in the East. Now, they're not overtaking the Boston Celtics, but it is a team that was definitely going to be in that conversation for top 4 out in the East. Also today you have OKC making to me, a sleeper move. And I don't think a lot of people uh, caught it. I don't think a lot of people are going to be paying attention to it because it's not a sexy move, but they ended up trading Josh Giddey to the Chicago Bulls for guard Alex Caruso. And I've always been a fan of Alex Caruso. He brings a toughness, a defensive mentality. Um, and in a big game mentality also, when we're talking about what OKC trying to do. You had to kind of bring in some veteran presence, and Josh Giddey is a nice player, but Caruso, when he's healthy, is a much better player. A much better player, can play the point, can rotate to the two. Very good on the defensive end. Very good 3-point shooter. I think OKC is loading up. I think this is the first salvo. I think teams in the West are going to be loading up with these kind of small, not headline type moves in regards to getting ready for the upcoming season. We talk about free agency. Much is made, much noise is made about LeBron James would have potentially opted out of LA and being a free agent for the first time in a very long time. But the player that I think the rest of the league is watching to see what he does as far as his situation, I think is Paul George. Paul George has the option has the player option to exercise. Does he stay with the Clippers? Do they keep the core together? Harden is a free agent. Westbrook is a free agent. Do they keep him? Does he want to stay there? Are they able to bring that team back? Are they able to run it back? Is it worth it? Does he want to go chase the title elsewhere? And there's some very interesting options when we're talking about places he can go. I mean, the New York Knicks are definitely on the menu. It's also been talks of the Dallas Mavericks being a dark horse. I think the favorite right now, if Paul George becomes a free agency, goes into free agency. The favorite right now looks like to be Philadelphia 76ers, but I think the rest of the league, and I'm talking about the rest of the league, I'm talking about the rest of the potential free agents, are kind of in a wait and see kind of move, because if he stays in LA, that opens up positions elsewhere, opens up money elsewhere for some of these. I would like to call them still good players, but we're talking like the second tier caliber of players, not guys that are going to lead your franchise to a championship, but guys, if you bring them in, can be a very good catalyst to you winning the championship. Guys such as DeMar DeRozan, very good in the mid-range, still an all-star caliber player, a guy that can come in. If Paul George doesn't end up in Philadelphia, does DeMar go to Philadelphia? DeMar could possibly fit in New York. And I talked earlier this week with the good brother Speakeasy. I'm looking at the East when I'm talking about guys making moves to kind of jump back into that fray of pushing the Boston Celtics out in the East. A guy like Malik Monk, who spent the last couple of years with the Sacramento Kings, very good six man, could be a starter in this league. He's still a young guy. He has shown, he can step up when given opportunity. Very big for them in their playoff runs the last couple seasons with the Sacramento Kings. He's a guy that's on like that second tier of guys that could possibly be on the move this offseason. KCP guard, with the Denver Nuggets could also be. I think the problem with him, I know Denver will want to bring him back. If he comes back to Denver, he's going to have to take a significant pay cut, because Denver right now is kind of up against the cap. And like we talked about throughout the year, how the new salary cap and luxury tax penalties kind of change how teams spend money going over the cap to kind of keep their players. Some teams, including the Boston Celtics, are going to have to make some hard decisions on what to do with some of these guys because, it's free agency. And if you won't pay me, somebody else will. But, KCP is another guy that could be, possibly on the move. A guy that I don't think a lot of people are really kind of talking about, who came back after, the domestic violence situation that he had the season prior, that cost him some games, cost him a lot of money. Miles Bridges, forward for Charlotte Hornets, who I think is you know we if you take the off the court stuff out of it, and it's kind of hard to kind of take that stuff out of the mix because that is a part of his history. You're talking about a guy who could be who should be, based on his production and the way he's played since he's coming to the league, who should be very highly pursued this off season. He could walk away with a kind of like $120-130 million deal. But I don't think people are really talking about Miles Bridges because when you think of Miles Bridges, the first thing you think about, if his stories, the domestic violence situation that he had going on. You don't really kind of basketball stuff comes second when you're talking about him. But it's also some other guys on the move that could possibly be on the move. If the money is right, they can kind of shift the scales of power. I think more so in the East than the West. A guy like Klay Thompson, who I think is going to get paid, but I think he's going to be looking for not only the money, but looking for the security of a long-term contract. Where does that leave him in the grand scheme of things? Um, you know, we'll see. I know he's probably looking for about a 2, 3, 4 year deal with about 20+ million dollars. Based on his production, he's in today's NBA economy, he is worth it. But I don't know if he's going to get it. But he's another guy that kind of be on the lookout for, like free agency. It doesn't a quote unquote officially start when we're talking about actually putting pen to paper, but deals are being done. I expect within the coming days, especially with the draft being next week. With the draft being next week, I think you're going to see guys possibly getting moved, trades happening. Maybe nothing major or seismic to where we're having a conversation about KD being traded or something like that. But today is an example of the kind of moves that's going to be made as teams try to get into a position to make playoff run. Playoffs. You're building a team all year round. I like the move by OKC for bringing in Caruso for Josh Giddey. Because Josh Giddey, pretty good rebounding guard, ain't much of a goddamn shooter. And Caruso is a much better shooter, much better defender, albeit he is older. But I think him having that championship experience, him having now that playoff experience is going to help. This is you still heard about that one, huh? Speak. I mean, you had Bridges. But anyway, I think that's about it as far as like the major news. May or may not do a show tomorrow. Let me check my trusted and make sure the schedule is kind of cleared. Yeah, schedule is kind of clear. So yeah, we'll be we may be doing something tomorrow, may not. I don't know. Kind of depends if I can find something to kind of bring to the table. I like to marry the sports and the social stuff together. But if not, hope you guys have a good weekend. Of course, you can find me in the other space. I see the speakeasies here. I guess I got to catch me a body tomorrow to get my stock up. So I mean, if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. Of course, still doing the Saturday show. Not a second show. Got some good material to kind of go over. It's going to be a pleasure doing that show. And you may see me around on panels. See, look, you were gonna spend the time educating them. I'm not. I wasn't gonna do it. I speak. I feel. It's a certain. I'm just gonna say this. Speak. Every now and then you got to remind people, man. Shit ain't sweet. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. Yeah, I'm not up here hollering and cursing at you. But don't think I'm, just gonna don't think shit sweet. But there's always somebody trying to ice skate uphill. It's always somebody trying to ice skate uphill. And one thing I like to pride myself on is being, being me. And I don't like when people try to put false images out of there out about me. And yeah, we not we not doing that. We not doing that. Hold on for a sec, y'all. Hold on. Let me. Ain't nobody comes up without a pat down. Nobody comes up. Welcome to the show.
See, you doing this on purpose. So any sport I like.
I mean, listen, I know kind of like my core, like you know what a 5-2 player is, but yeah, I'm not here. You have the floor because I know the game of baseball, but I don't follow it that closely, and I'm gonna let you speak your speech.
No, I'm not gonna speak my speech. I put my definition in there, but don't get on me because I'm nerdy and I like to educate people, especially when we're talking about the almighty black man. So doggone it. I mean, we're talking about the Willie Mays.
Yes, I mean, yeah, like yes, we are. And like I said, I don't think if you're not a fan of the sport, you don't really understand how good he was and what impact he really had on the game. If you're not a fan, to most people, it's kind of like, oh, Willie Mays passed, and kind of keep it moving because they never get watched them play. They never took the time to understand the history behind the greatness of Willie Mays. So
I know, but you said that like it's like you can't talk about Willie Mays and saying he's the best. Period. That's like saying, Mike Tyson knocked out a few people.
well, I mean, and I listen to me, and I'm a I'm of a younger generation. The best baseball player that I have seen, and this is just me with my own two eyes,
Mm-hmm.
um, is Ken Griffey.
Not Mr. October?
Nah. And that I said with my own two eyes. I mean,
Right. I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, but baseball.
Reggie Jackson was on the doggone candy bar. You know what I'm saying? Mr. October right there. I think he was on Wheaties too.
I mean, it's so many great players, before
I'll give you that. Ken Griffey Jr.
that I've seen with my own two eyes.
Oh, you went to a game.
Yeah, I watched Griffey play. I watched
Oh,
Griffey play
okay.
as a child. But what I'm saying is, like, as far as I seen, it's so many great players.
Absolutely.
So many, we can sit up here and argue all day long about generations,
but not great tool players.
Yeah, Willie Mays is one. Everybody can't be a 5-2 player.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So that's different because I've seen we could talk about Darryl Strawberry. We could talk about Barry Bonds. We could talk about Dave Justice. It's a lot of them. We could talk about Deion Sanders.
Well, Bonds used to be a great 5-2 player before the roids.
Right.
Yeah, before the roids, then he became more, I was focused on the power here, but Barry Bonds used to be a hell of a player. But
Absolutely.
Before he got juiced up. Hell of a player.
Absolutely. But, like if we talking stocks, if you got the juice, I got to take you down some points.
Well, let me ask you, because you're a baseball fan. Do you think that anybody that got caught using steroids or were suspected of using steroids, do you think they should be kept out of the Hall of Fame?
No, because even with steroids, you still have to have talent. That's my own personal opinion. Yeah. Like, for example, I couldn't take steroids and be a Barry Bonds. I don't have the skill sets, the talent, the effort, the energy, none of that. So, no. I mean, like I said, it's an enhancement, performance drug. That means you still have to have, and then we don't know at what point he started using. Now, if he's been using all his life, then yeah, or, whomever. But for a short period of time, no. Okay. I just don't because I just truly believe that there are so many enhancement performing drugs that are undetectable that a lot of people are using.
I mean, listen, I'm of the mind, even if they were caught using steroids, here's the thing about baseball that kind of, I think, separates when we're talking about steroid usage. It does it increases your power and some of your physical gifts, but when we're talking about baseball, if your hand and eye coordination
exactly,
or you could be juiced, as much as you want, and can't hit a baseball to save your damn life, can't differentiate if a fastball is coming, four seam, cutter, knuckleball. Is it a change up? If you
Inside
ain't
corner pocket. You know what I'm saying? When them
listen,
balls coming at 95 or better, it's like, nah, steroids don't help you with that.
and that was like, I had a discussion with somebody a long time ago about it. I was like, man, if they was using, I mean, fine. I mean, it doesn't change the fact you still have to get in that batter's box and be able to pick up on what the pitcher is throwing at you.
And it's a
And
lot going on in the game that people don't realize. You got coaches just about at every base that you got to follow. You got to know, you got to be able to read the picture. It's a lot going on. It's a lot. It's way more going on that steroids are not going to heighten your senses for in baseball. It's just not going to happen.
like understanding, the field and switch, like how
Exactly. It's not
like,
just a brute force game. It's
yeah,
skills, and it's like so many different skill sets that you got to have that are working together in order for you to be that player.
yeah. And I think the fan that just they're juicing, they look at it as cheating. Like, yeah, to me it was not really cheating because it's plenty of guys that juiced it and wasn't crap. There's plenty of guys that got on that stuff and was using it, but wasn't producing at the level of a Barry Bonds. And I just like.
Absolutely. It didn't make him any better. And that was the point I was making. So, yeah, he may have gotten a one or two extra home runs, but if he didn't already have some power, that wasn't going to give him superpower. It just wasn't. I don't believe so. I just don't.
No, I mean, I listen. Me and you on the same wavelength for this. I'm just like, hey, if they was using, other sports, maybe, basketball, football, yeah, I get it. But baseball we're talking about something completely different.
Completely different. It's not like it would be with gymnastics where it would give you the muscle mass to kind of help you jump a little bit higher, maybe toss in the air a little bit long. It's not that.
Yeah.
Baseball's not like that.
Right.
So that's where I am with it. So that's all I'm gonna say for now. So yeah, but when we start talking about the greatness of Black people, I'm gonna need you to give us our time and explain how great we are.
If I was to do that, I wouldn't be up. You know what? I would be like somebody else. Panel to panel to panel to panel to panel. Like,
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Getting better and betterer. Okay. I'm gonna Mert.
Okay. Well, like I said, as always, appreciate you coming up. Let me get ready to close out the show because I don't do these long sports shows like that. Any last words for the two in the chat?
Thanks for your support.
Okay. All right. Let me put my thing up real quick. I've been working on some stuff. That this gets me in the mindset for the upcoming season. Yeah, we will be rolling out the football content very shortly, people. Of course, I'm excited, and let's all you Cowboy haters, you can dust off dust off all your bullshit, memes and all of that stuff y'all like to send to me through the season. I'm with the smoke this year. I'm definitely with the smoke. But anyway, let me get my behind up out of here. Y'all know the phrase that pays. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but every time you learn. And I'm out.